I, Kevin McCreary, the creator of the Nostalgia Christian, just saw a Christian movie that I actually enjoyed. Old Fashioned.
Mr. Walsh, the world wants to know, when are you going to kiss her?
Well, I just saw an early screening of the film Old Fashioned. I went into this movie expecting to, I don't know, not like it, but I also really wanted to like it. And so whenever I saw it, first scene, I was like, man, these shots are really good. And then whenever people started talking, I was like, I see now that it is a Christian film. So it took a little bit of time to get going. It's the story of a guy named Clay. He owns an antique shop. You find out in the course of the film that he used to be very disrespectful to women, but he finds Jesus, changes his life around. You know, I grew up in the era of Joshua Harris and I Kiss Dating Goodbye, and his belief very much along the lines of that. Until one day, he meets a girl who challenges this. I found this film very fascinating because it kind of plays itself off as a very preachy film. And so you have these expectations about the film going in, like, well, here we go, another Christian film that's trying to push an agenda on me because the main character has these particular beliefs. And that's something to remember about film. Just because a character says something doesn't necessarily mean that's what the writers believe or feel. They kind of play on your expectations of a Christian film to be preachy. I really enjoyed the actress in the film. She really made you feel like the type of person who somebody like this guy would fall in love with. And I actually fell in love with her myself. I've never seen a Christian film that actually made me laugh. And this film made me laugh not once or twice, but on several occasions. There were also non-Christian characters in the film that they never made out to be like the worst people in the world, which is something that frustrates me when watching a Christian film. There's this character who lives with his girlfriend, and even though you can tell the main character of the film doesn't approve of that, they don't get sidetracked on addressing or harping on that. Oftentimes what I would expect in a Christian film that's about relationships, they would have like everything falling apart and looking and saying, well, see, this is earthly consequences for the sin that we're living in. And life isn't always like that. So I appreciate that this film stayed focused on its intention and also showed characters that were very real that this guy would probably run into in real life. I enjoyed the production of the film. There were some very cool and nice looking thought out shots. I could tell that this film was made by people who actually enjoy film and they've actually seen real Hollywood films and they're attempting to mimic that. Oftentimes when I see Christian films, I think this is somebody trying to counter the film industry and not somebody who is just a lover of films and wants to tell their story from their side in that medium. While I'm praising this film a lot, it is not a perfect film. It moves a little slow at times. The points where they were kind of preachy, they dwelled on it more than they probably needed to. One thing that took me out of it a little bit was this main character was supposed to be like very Christian, and I grew up around people who had very similar beliefs to what this guy did. However, he starts dating a girl who has said that she's not a Christian or she doesn't believe in Christianity. And I'm not saying I'm for or against either of those things. What I'm saying is it took me out of the film a little bit because it was a certain aspect of that guy's character that I just didn't believe. I feel like it's the type of film that anybody could enjoy if they watched it. There may be moments that if you're like an atheist or something, you might say, well, that's really dumb. But there's movies that I see, like that movie Failure to Launch. I thought that Matthew McConaughey was pretty dumb living with his parents all the time in that movie. I think what the movie showed me most of all is that just because a character in a film believes something different than me doesn't mean that the film is not good. It didn't attempt to be original. Sometimes Christian films try too hard to be original and then they're so far away from what you're used to seeing that it's distracting. This film did stay within the cookie cutter, cliche, chick flick scenario. So much so that it was somewhat predictable, though there is a moment that kind of pushes the edge and was a bit of a surprise, and then they kind of pulled back on it, and I wish they would have gone all the way with it, and they didn't, and I kind of felt like they held back more than they could have, and I wish they would have because I think it would have driven their point home and made it a little more clear. That being said, and this being my first short form movie review, I will say that I am not even gonna do a star system. You guys want a star system? I don't know. Just go see it for yourself and tell me what you think. If you do want to see this movie, it actually comes out February 14th, so for Valentine's Day, you can take your date. If you want to see like if it's playing in your area because it's coming to theaters, you could probably check it out at oldfashionedmovie.com or something like that. I'm not like being paid to say that, but I would take money to say it if you wanted to pay me to say it. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing what you guys think of this movie, and that's about all I know, I guess. Good night.